Hi everyone, it is Dawn and I'm here with another video on the galactic energies that are coming in conjunction with the summer solstice and into July all the way through the Lion's Gate this year, which is on August the 8th. And today's video, in the last video, in case you didn't see it, I talked about just an influx of new supportive energies for our gifts, including new spiritual gifts or abilities, capabilities that more and more of us will have access to in the months and years ahead. Today's video is going to focus on another aspect that I've been shown repeatedly over the last, I think it started in April, so a couple of months here, which has to do with Egyptian energies. And then this set of keys I was shown, the master keys, which I will talk about in a moment, that also somehow relate to Egypt, but I feel like there's more here. So I'll say what I know in this video, and then I may circle back to that idea. But first, I want to talk to you a little bit about Egypt, because while I love Egypt in terms of history and archaeology and the ancient civilization of Egypt, I have to say the only Egyptian deity or energy that I've ever felt any connection with has been Hathor. But even there, it's sort of like this, I don't know what it means kind of thing, it's not super strong. I have much stronger connections to other ancient energies. But Egypt has been increasingly potent and powerful for me starting in 2020. Actually, something I'm going to show you in a second, actually, apparently starting in 2014, but really coming online around 2020, 2021. If any of you were following back then, you'll remember probably when I came back from, I went to England in 2018. I came back, and in 2020, I think it was October of 2020, possibly 2021, when I made a video about the door to everything. And I had as the thumbnail for that video, one of the crop circles that had an open door on it. And I don't think I really referenced Egypt too much in that video, but interestingly, I had a series of dreams before and after doing that video that were trying to tell me, I see now, the connection between that energy that was coming in with the door to everything and the abundance messages that I talked about in terms of Echoes of Avalon and the 12 doors of abundance when I went to England. All of that was somehow connected to this Egypt thing that was going to happen in the future. And I did have dreams about this starting in 2020. I just didn't make the connection until more recently. Then the imagery started coming in around 2023 and 24. And that, when I say the imagery, I mean in terms of it would just show up in my art. I take a lot of photos and I name them things, and these images of Egypt kept coming through. And then increasingly in the last 3 or 4 months, in just a huge variety of ways. So the energy's been very palpable. But it's also been very clear to me, based on things that I'm given in dreams and in my journaling, that this Egyptian energy, and don't understand it all, but I'm going to attempt to tell you what I do have in this video, is incredibly potent right now, this year, 2026, starting now, just before summer solstice, heading into July, August, Lion's Gate, which is on the 8th of August. So I'm going to have to look at my notes for this one, but let me start by saying, let me get my glasses on, so yes, it was April when one of my guides came to me, and I wrote the whole thing down in here, but I'm not going to read it all to you. I'll just kind of summarize. A very trusted guide came to me, whom, to my knowledge, had no connection to Egypt, but he said in this dream/vision that he was connected to mystical Egyptian teachings, which I know nothing about, and told me to be open to receiving those. And he connected in my dream slash vision, he connected that to a couple of experiences that I've had that are more galactic in nature, that as of that writing and even now, I don't really see the connection to Egypt or ancient Egypt energies, but there is something there, something that is really potent about this window that has to do with both galactic energies, the influx of light, of course, this time of year, that's natural, and particularly this year, 2026, and where we are in that 7-year trajectory of 2020 to 2027. And okay, so galactic energies, the influx of light, and then this ancient Egyptian codes, awakening, not sure. Maybe more will come through as I'm talking. We'll see. So one of my guides came to me and to tell me that he was connected to this mystical Egyptian teachings, and just to really just prepare my heart to receive it, not to write down necessarily. He would let me know if that was necessary, but at the moment he just wanted me to focus on symbols, codes, energy. And so I have done that, and I have received some information. I'll be circling back in just a bit to tell you about this set of master keys. But first I wanted to also share that, let me see what I wrote. Let me just get this right. Oh, yes. There was a council, I guess you would call it, of galactic beings. It was small, like maybe 5. I think there were 5 different galactic beings that looked different. And while I have experienced that certainly in terms of visions and once or twice in real life, I didn't touch them or like have conversations, but I feel like I was in the presence of them. I've never seen, I don't even know what like galactic races they were, anything like that, but there was a council of 5 of them that came to me in one of these dreams, and they didn't speak, but they were showing me these keys. It was mostly about the keys, but there was also this like etheric kind of like how do you even describe it? It was sort of like the keys were real and the beings were real, but like behind them was like sort of this grid template thing in the sky that was there but not really there, if you know what I mean, like a outline, almost like an architectural thing. And it had the pyramids and it had the Sphinx, and which I talked about in the last video. And Sphinx energy is also big, but there's nothing new on that, so I'm not going to say much about that here. But this council was like 5 different galactic beings, and they were showing me these master keys. And they seemed to be indicating, as they were showing me this, that whatever the codes are, or the grounding of this ancient Egyptian knowledge or energy was going to be accessible to all who opened their hearts by using these master keys. So I'll circle back to that in a sec. I wanted to also say that the pyramids have been showing up like tons for me. And they started showing up in very odd ways, like in dreams, of course, in my daily doodles that I do, in scenes that I was shown, like even during the day, sometimes when I would just be singing a song or something, like it would just come to me. And I've tried to kind of take notes and connect the dots, but I'm not quite sure yet what it all means. I do know that there's something to do with like pyramid capstones, and I did address that a bit. There's a way that I talked about that in my book on sacred partnership, and also I have used that idea of a capstone, pyramid capstone, in some of the teachings that I did previously around the journey to sacred wholeness, the journey to soulful transformation, and which all has to do with the radical reclamation of the whole of who we are and the radiant realization of who we are individually and as a collective, like the whole of humanity. So there's this pyramid imagery that keeps showing up. And before I sat down to do this video, they asked me to go find two things, which was quite the challenge, two pieces of art that that I had done in the past. And the first was this one. Let me make sure I can see that you're seeing it. This is a little sea doodle, soul essence art doodle that I did on the 18th of October 2014 called Beauty Rising. And I remember when I did this feeling so, like, this was so potent, the energy. I didn't really know what it was though. So I think I shared it like somewhere, but I don't think I really ever described what it was. And I'm still not certain, but they tell me that this, like whatever this is right here, is happening now. So this is Beauty Rising. Interestingly, I did this little piece of art, I can't call it art, but the little doodle, Beauty Rising. Beauty, by the way, is the seventh of the seven wonders of the soul: faith, hope, love, healing, growth, passion, beauty. And everything culminates with beauty. And 2027 is all about the grounding of beauty. This year is all about passion. And we've been through faith, hope, love, healing, growth. We're in the middle of passion right now. So hopefully you're feeling passionate. I have my days and then I lose it. But anyway, that's an aside. So this, oh yeah, this one also, let me just show you this too. So this was the Beauty Rising. And then this piece here was interesting. It almost looks like, like a Jesus in the book or something. But also this idea of the portal was, and the open door portal was really, it went along with this. And I still don't exactly understand it, but I do think that this right here is what's happening right now, like June 17th through the 21st, or maybe a little bit after that, in terms of the solstice energies. Okay, let me slow down. Sorry, going a little fast. And okay, that was the first piece of art. Oh, yeah, I was going to tell you one other thing. Beauty Rising. I did this in October of 2014, which was after my summer Heartland trip, as I called it. I went on a month-long trip, really just the Southeast up into the Midwest, but not like all the way over, just, and then up to like Wisconsin. So anyway, I talk about that in my Journey to the Heartland book. And for me, it was a real turning point because it was like the full commitment, like the real devotion to my path. I had, kind of gone through a spiritual awakening, I was always awake and shut it down, but a awakening in a little bit in 2009, but for sure 2011, and that's when I started sharing things. And then 2014 was the marker though, when I was like, I'm all in on this now. Everything I do, I had to do and still have to do some things to, like earn money. But everything that I'm about is about walking the path. And so this was done 4 months after the Heartland journey, and I wrote the book. And the month before the Light in the Forest experience, which I have a playlist on this channel if you want to, watch that. But basically, I went to the woods for a month, and then I circled back and went again. I went once, I think it was in like June or July of that year. Not exactly sure, but sometime that. And then I went again for the month of November into early December. And then I moved just before I turned 50, I packed a suitcase and I moved to Ireland and was basically there for 3 years. I also traveled in France and England during those years. And that was a marker for me personally on my spiritual journey because, what I was doing in Ireland and England and France. I was there doing other things, but what the real work was about visiting various sites that I was led to intuitively and doing, energy or grid work, and also tracing the steps to heal soul memories. Interestingly, so I knew the ones in France, what those were about, and I had long said I would avoid France at all costs, but I did go twice in 2016. But interestingly, a lot of the stuff I was doing where I was led to places in Ireland, I did not know in England until long after, like until like 2 years ago, maybe, that I actually had ancestral ties to a lot of those places, or that they were actually significant because they were the ancient, there's nothing there now, but they were the ancient sites. I noticed when I was in Ireland, a lot of times I'm like, why am I here? Like it's half a mile that way is where the thing is, right? Well, that's because the church or other institutions built over. So all I'm saying is that this beauty rising and this portal image were done in 2014, just between those two things, the Heartland journey I did, and then the travels in Ireland, England, and France, which I see now also. It's funny, a lot of times when I'm led places, I don't actually have the full scope of what's actually happening. Like I kind of know what I'm guided to do and where I'm guided to be, but I don't always understand like the fullness of it or the connections. And I do now. And a lot of it was opening up energy, the activation of ancient remembering. Not that I was doing that alone. Many of us have done this kind of work. And this is how it works. We literally just follow our own heart's knowing. And this ties into that master key I'll talk about in a moment. So that was the first piece of art that they wanted me to find and show you, this beauty rising. Is that, yeah, beauty rising. The second one I will put as the, what do you call it, thumbnail of this video, which is interestingly, it's a picture I took from a house where I was house sitting, dog sitting, and it was on the Lion's Gate. I just found that out today. It was August the 8th, 2023. I may have known that at the time, but I forgot. And I called the image, in case I don't put this anywhere else, an ancient arising full moon with rooftops. And it was on August the 8th, 2023, so 3 years ago. When I was like, why am I having to find this picture? I can just put another picture. They were like, no. And when I found it, the moment I found it, they were like, get your journal. And they gave me like a whole other layer about that image here, which was, I just realized I'm using the Ireland journal. Very interesting. But the message that goes along with this image that I will use in the thumbnail is that, and again, they're pyramids. I mean, they're rooftops, they're houses in America, but they look like shadows on pyramids. And there's the moon, which looks like a star rising. And this is all significant, they said. And one of the things that they wanted me to say was for us all to hold the space anchored within our heart space of this pyramid, to be a receptacle within our hearts for the influx of light that's coming. And I think also for whatever this thing is here, where like there's again like this flowering kind of energy, and energy coming up from the ground, and then like the starbursts, and then whatever's happening here at the horizon line with the rainbow coming, both going down into like inner earth or the ground, the roots of Mother Earth, and up into from the horizon up into the skies. So there's something about the connectivity between the earth energy and the galactic energy, the cosmic energy anyway, that is happening. And that is another aspect this year that's quite different than some years in terms of this time between the summer solstice, which is June 21st, through the Lion's Gate, which is about the star Sirius rising in the sky. And also I found out, let me see if I can find this. I don't want to say anything wrong. Yeah, here it is. I don't know how I missed this, but apparently when Sirius rises, that is the whole reason it started, the Lion's Gate, or maybe not the reason it started, the whole reason it became a significant cycle historically, in addition to in spiritual circles, is this thing that I did not know or I had forgotten, which is that in the rising of Sirius, the star begins in mid to late July, and it culminates with the Lion's Gate, or that's the peak, I guess, of it. And it symbolizes the flooding of the Nile. And it's the ultimate, I've got this from Google, it's the ultimate spiritual window for rebirth, washing away the old and setting fresh intentions for our lives. So this time leading up from the summer solstice, or even right now, we've gone through what's called the eye of the needle, which is a compression. And now we're expanding with the light energies. And so this time, it's a time of preparation for that full washing away of the old, fresh intentions, new energy, rebirth. And this year, because of where we are in that 7-year cycle, and because of what I was shown about the next 3 years, and then the next, I think it's 7 years to 2033, different video, I'll tell you more about that later, but it's a huge turning point within the turnings. There's this turn we're making now that's into the last, year and a half or so. And then there's the next turn into 2033. And then the first part of that is that 3-year window, which I talked a little bit about in the last video. So the pyramids are huge. So the first takeaway from this video is hold that in your heart. The idea that your heart will be receptive to the highest light energies that are available to us. And if you are open to more galactic and cosmic energies that are supportive, totally everyone's choice. So now let me go into Egypt as it pertains to the 4, I guess, figures that are particularly energies that are supportive of us right now that have to do with ancient Egypt. I already mentioned Hathor is the one that I would know something about and have a connection to. Hathor is an ancient Egyptian goddess of love, joy, music, and motherhood. She is linked to Horus, who she's seen as his consort or wife, but she was also depicted in early myths as Horus's divine mother. So some question about the role there, and it's, from what I could discern reading a bit, it's both. So Hathor also, when she comes together with Horus, represents a harmonization, or both of them represent the harmonization of divine masculine, divine feminine within each one of us, and then in the context of sacred partnerships, sacred union of any kind, not just male-female partnerships, but that and more. And this Hathor and Horus combination was the first of the 3, or you can call that 2 of the 4. And they were like, when I saw this in my, kind of like visually, when I saw this, it was interesting because Hathor and Horus were at the apex of the pyramid. And then the 2 other figures were the more, the higher ranking Egyptian beings of Ma'at, M-A'-T, and Ra. So the easy one, there's Ra. I think most everybody knows Ra is the sun god. And so his energy is bringing in that summer solstice influx of light, illumination, and personal power or empowerment. That's the Ra energy. And Ra and Ma'at were, did I finish my sentence? No. They were the base of the pyramid. So they were like, each had 2 corners of the base of the pyramid. Is that right? Let me think for a sec. Is that correct? I think that's correct. Now I'm all questioning, but whatever. They were the foundation. Hathor and Horus were together at the apex of the pyramid. And like when I was shown this, it was like, not the Hathor and Horus were people, or human forms, but the Ma'at energy and the Ra energy was like moving everywhere through all the different surfaces of the pyramid, and they were the foundation, anchoring it into earth. So Ra, sun god, represents personal power, empowerment, light, illumination. Ma'at, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, is the daughter of Ra, and she is the ancient Egyptian goddess of truth, justice, balance, and cosmic order. And she really is representative of the universal principles of, I'm reading from Google here, morality and reciprocity that govern society, ancient Egyptian society. Her presence kept the universe in equilibrium, and she is depicted often with a single ostrich feather, and she would meet the souls who were transitioning into the afterlife. Afterlife, that's hilarious. There might be something there. Actually, there is, because the joy part has been coming up a lot too with regard to Egypt. I've been writing poems about Egypt and pulling out art I did that has Egyptian references. So I've been drawn to it personally as well, for my personal kind of story. And the reciprocity thing and society and the whole weighing the souls, there's like that part of Mott that's like super serious, right? But there's this other thing about joy, which actually I guess is more connected to the Hathor energy. But there's a balance of those two: truth, justice, balance, order, joy, beauty, the more feminine energies, and that we all can embrace the healthy, healed feminine energies, or seek to anyway, and open our hearts to that. So when I talk about the pyramid in your heart, it is also to all these energies I'm talking about with Hathor, Horus, Mott, and Ra, to be able to hold those in the highest energies belonging to those within us, to anchor them with our hearts first, to bring them into relationships, and to let that flood into all of society and our global transformation, and really how we understand what it is to be a human being, and to heal humanity, for the liberation, really, for the freeing of who we really are. Okay, so Mott, did I finish talking about that? Oh, she would hold the ostrich feather when she met souls transitioning into the afterlife or afterlife, to weigh their hearts. So this, I don't think it's any news to anybody watching this, but just in case you're not aware, this time is one where, there is a rebalancing happening for all of us. And we all have things to face within us, and in dynamics that we have engaged in or participated in patterns that we have created, whether those be ones of beauty or ones that are not of beauty. And there's, I don't want to call it a reckoning necessarily, but there is a rebalancing, and it's a karmic rebalancing. And I can't really speak to that in the way that other people can, but there's lots of information about that on YouTube and in other places that you can research and take a look at for yourself. So Mott seems to be very connected to that idea, right? Truth, justice, balance, equilibrium, weighing of the hearts. It's what her energy represents. And she's the daughter of the sun god Ra, who represents empowerment, personal power, light, illumination. So I think that's all I want to say about the Egyptian deities. But those figures, Hathor, Horus, Mott, and Ra, are with us, humanity, at this time in a way that is perhaps more expanded than it has been. And there's something there, because of what I keep being shown, there's something there about, so they are anchoring, they're holding the field, this larger pyramid that we're all in, and then the individual pyramids they're holding the field for this lifting up, lifting off, lifting into that I talked about in the last video, and which has to do with a release, right? It's a lifting up of all this weight that individually we put on ourselves, in groups and in dysfunctional systems and in the whole of humanity. This weight that is not does not belong to us, that some would tell you was placed upon us by other, like, the bad aliens or whatever. I don't know. I don't really have an opinion about that. I've never encountered any, and I really don't know what to believe about that. However, it is clear to me that humanity as a whole, and the vast majority of us individually and within many, many, many of the systems, organizations, and structures within societies across the globe, have bought into this sort of view that is very not accurate. It's not accurate. It's a reduction of who we are individually and who we are meant to be, and who we are meant to be collectively. Which, in my way of talking about it, is that we are meant to rise into the realm of radiance and to embrace a higher harmonic humanity, or an expanded capacity. I know when, during the pandemic, one of the videos I made was called Spectrum. And there was like the idea of the 7 crowns being available and accessible to humanity. And there were the 12 diamond dimensions which were being seeded. I have a video series about that, which does have to do with the 7 wonders of the soul also. Okay, let me just stop on all the layers of my way of talking about it and just say that what this is about is that individually and collectively, this summer is the time when this is accessible to us. But as I've also said before, it's a rocky road to redemption. It's not necessarily going to look like, rainbows and unicorns and flowers and, sunny days and, all the good things right away. It's going to look like we got some work to do, and we do have some work to do. And the first place to begin, which is what this video is all about, is by cleaning up our heart space, tapping into heart intelligence, releasing what no longer serves, refusing to participate in things that are a reduction or limitation or contraction. Let me rephrase that just slightly, because I don't want it to be misconstrued. I mean individually, where we legally can do so, and also based on what we are individually shown is right and true for us, to step into our full sovereignty and to lead our lives with love from that place of sovereignty and choice every moment of the now. And the now is our next opportunity window. That also has to do with this image here. It's like an emerging, a dawning realization, or awakening to what was always true, that we are the miracle. You are the miracle. I am the miracle. And that miracles are simply the natural result of the choice to acknowledge and affirm who we really are at the level of our soul and our soul's essence, and to bring that forward and share it with one another, and thereby to create a whole new way forward together that is going to lead us into something that I believe certainly has the capacity to be extraordinary and never seen before. And I think that this is when that opportunity opens up in a huge way, in a way, again, that we've not seen before. And it cannot be, ultimately, it cannot be stopped unless we choose not to fully embody our whole selves and our soul selves, and release what is false, the false matrix, this way of thinking that is limited in terms of seeing ourselves, seeing each other, seeing the whole of humanity, seeing the cosmos and our place in it. All of that is super important and up for review right now. So it's release and review and receptivity in particular, which leads me to the key, the master key. So I've been shown this a number of times now. The first time with the 5 beings from this galactic mini council. They didn't give themselves a name. They just showed up twice, but once powerfully with this whole key thing. So this was a very extended, sort of thing they showed me. And at first I didn't quite understand it all, but now I've got some information I'll share with you. The first thing they showed me was this sort of giant ancient looking key that came down from the skies, and they were holding the circle open wide enough, and the key came down in the middle, and the key was bigger than them. And it was again, similar to the other vision where there was that structure in the background. The key itself was three-dimensional and very realistic, but also it felt like I could poke my finger through it, if that makes any sense. And the Egyptian imagery was also in the background. So the giant key didn't, to me, look Egyptian. It looked like a giant, European castle key or something. So they kept calling it the master key. And from what they showed me and what I wrote in my journal that first time, it was all about heart intelligence and linking the heart and mind. If for those who have not done that previously, then being able to really do that more naturally and not have to feel that it's forced. And for those of us who maybe have done that to some degree anyway, for us to unlock new levels. And this master key, so I looked up what a master key was in the first vision, and it is a specially designed key that operates a set of different locks, each which has its own unique key called a change key. And so this master key that I was shown is it works on all human hearts everywhere. The master key, they were giving us the master key. It was coming in. I suppose, they didn't give me specific timing, but I do think it's now through the Lion's Gate time. I don't know if it will, be some sort of actual one-time thing and we'll all have that, or if it's just once you hear this or receive it on your own or know it or have some other information downloaded into you, you will, it'll be sort of a ripple kind of thing and we'll all get it in the right time for us. I don't know, but what I do know is that this master key, it's a grand, which is a thing, by the way. There's a master key, a grand master key, and a great grand master key. And this made a lot of sense later when they showed me smaller, what I thought were master keys, but now I'm thinking that what they actually showed me was the great grand master key. Let me give you the definition. So the master key, again, is a specially designed key, operates a different set of locks, which also has its own unique key called a change key. And then the grand master key is used in large complexes like a hotel or something like that where there are many rooms, and it opens multiple master key systems. And then the great grand master key, which is the highest tier of access, opens all doors across an entire property or multiple sites, multiple properties. So what I now think is that first giant, three-dimensional key, which was coming down and they were holding the space for, and there were the pyramids in the background and the Earth's atmosphere. It was almost like those pictures you see from space. I would see the blue, or the horizon of the Earth, I guess at daybreak, and then on the bottom there were so there were arcs in addition to the pyramids in the background and the master key. There were arcs, spherical arcs above and below, similar to this, but there were arcs. And the grand master key is what I think I saw in the first vision, because later I had several dreams, and in both of those dreams there were 3 what looked to be master keys, but different sizes. So I'm actually thinking now that the grand master key was referring to this global capacity, all human beings being given the opportunity. There was something unlocked for us in this window of time. Then that second key, which was the I feel like I'm talking about the three little bears, right? Like the three bears, the little bear, the mama bear, and the daddy bear. Okay, the great grand master key was the global. The middle-sized key was, I believe, representing the grand master key, the one that's used in like hotels with a building with a lot of rooms. And this one, I was shown these three keys several times, and in one of the occasions with one of the dreams, it was very tied into a lot of imagery around the Declaration of Independence. And we are coming up on the 250th anniversary of the United States. So I don't know for sure, but I want to say that this grand master key, the middle key, had to do with specific regions, and in particular, I am American, so that may be why I saw this. In particular, what I wrote down was images around the United States, and as it pertains to whatever this ancient knowledge is. So I'm quite sure that there are many likely secret societies or other kinds of organizations or governments or whatever who know exactly what this is, and probably some of you watching. Not my expertise. If you want to leave a comment, feel free to. But this grand master key seemed to refer to like specific geographic locations, and there may be multiple grand master keys. I did not ever see how this one arrived. It was always just sort of there. In one dream, it was like laying on the table near these documents that have to do with the United States. In another dream, it was more like it was vertical, like just, but it seemed more like fixed than the other two, interestingly, even the master key, the individual one. So the grand master key, the giant one that came down, was like huge, right? And it was like coming down to the earth, and the council, the five, were holding it, or like anchoring it, holding the energetic, whatever was energetically necessary to allow that to be accessible to all. And then it magically did its work, the great grand master key. The grand master key was, like in my dreams so far, always like sitting near the documents, or it was vertically but fixed, and almost like it was immovable and was being controlled by forces beyond us. And yet there was specificity to it in terms of like what it unlocked and where it unlocked it. So I'll come back and share more if I get more, but that's all I know for now. And then the master key, the one I described first, was like what they were showing me that goes with this capstone pyramid energy, that we can create that field within our heart. I often think of the energy of the heart as spherical and radiating out, like to the auric field, I guess you would call it. Again, not my area of expertise to explain these things, but the pyramid itself was contained within the inner sphere, the inner sanctuary of our hearts. And again, this is about receiving heart intelligence. It's about connectivity of our hearts and minds, and also a link to embodiment. And I talked a little bit about that in the last video, about really leaning more into our bodies as working with the body and soul working together in tandem in a new way. And that all is connected to this heart intelligence as well, or what they are calling heart intelligence. I also want to say that the heart intelligence is not merely emotion. It's not like just linking thought and emotion, which is the first level maybe, but it is literally about a new kind of intelligence that is being made accessible to all humans in this time. And that master key is going to like be there for each one of us, that is unique to our soul's truth and radiance. And that master key, remember, it is a specially designed key that operates a different set of locks, each having its own key called a change key. So our own unique master key actually unlocks within each one of our hearts all of these levels. And in one other vision I had, which at the time I didn't quite understand, but now I think it's hugely connected, They're literally within, I saw like a inside of a chamber, which I now think was in the human heart. And it was like I can't even do it, like da 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 da, like they were all unlocking one after the other, because we had this master key and this space within us that we had created. And so super exciting. Like I think that this also probably does link into that last video about the Cosmic Cascade. I think that it will require that unlocking process, which is also in some sense probably a release, and then a receptivity to the energies coming down into that pyramid in our heart. And then we anchor that light energy, light intelligence, influx of higher vibrational, higher frequencies into each one of us. And we unlock things that have been lying dormant within us. So it's super exciting. I don't know, again, a lot of the details. The other thing I want to mention there is that, remember, each lock that master key unlocks has its own unique key called the change key. And one time, I did not know that when I had this one vision that I wrote about, which was the one I was just describing, where it was like everything, like there's this like sequence that was super fast and everything unlocked, and there was this expansion within the heart. And this idea of the change key, though, it's almost like once that happens, we can then, the master key has come and unlocked it all, then it's up to us, each one of us, to pick up the correct change key for each one of those little things that was unlocked. See, it's just the capacity that's unlocked. There's still a next step for each one of us, and that is to get the change key that goes with each one. And in one of the visions, I had made a little note in the side margins of when I was writing about this, to look at the passage in my book, Cultivating Essence from the Matrix of Soul, around, there are several about change and trying on new things for size. I'm paraphrasing. And being willing to embrace a new vision for the nexus of change in our lives. That's the last number 72 through 90 of the 90 Seeds for Life, which is available in my 90 Days to Life and in the book Cultivating Essence. The 72 to 90, or 89 anyway, are all about embracing a new vision for our lives and for humanity. But we do that by embracing the vision for our lives. And so these change keys that we need to discover, I'll say more if I know more in the future, are gonna, once that capacity is unlocked within us through that master key for each one of us individually. And also they were showing me that, like, there's been preparation going into this for each and every human being. Think about that. What are there, like 8 billion people or something? Is that right? Yeah, I think it's billion. I don't know. Whatever it is. So, okay, so that's the master key idea. The gist of it is this: there is the potential for unlocking vast reservoirs within us. And I was showing that reflecting pool by the pyramids. I was shown that reflecting pool by the pyramids and the ripples. And that happening, imagine that happening at the individual level with each of us, and then in communities, and out and out and out to global, to cosmic. All right, so I think that that's where I'm going to leave this one. It was long, but there's more. I'm thinking I might probably will wait, because I feel like there's going to be more information coming in. I'll probably wait until July at least for the next video, possibly even toward the Lionsgate. We will see. But for now, just really exciting to me, and I just feel honored to be able to share this with you. And often, as you probably know if you watch my videos, which is like, what, 7 of you, but that's okay. They're there, like if anybody wants to find them. But and also, you know, my role, I've always been clear that my role is really just to activate or open up the energy. So it's fine that, you know, nobody watches. That being said, what I'm trying to say is that the energy is opening up, and that there, oh, like I was going to tell you something though about, is that important? Maybe it's not important. All right, I'll circle back to it if it's important. Sorry, I did lose my train of thought completely there. That yeah, the energy will continue to expand, expand, expand from summer solstice on. I do think, just as an aside, from what I can tell from various people who talk about other, kind of aspects of energetic awakenings and shifts from their points of view, some of them talking more about like the crystalline body, which I do think this is connected to, others of them talking about astrology or other systems, that are connected to energetic shifts for humanity. This is like it's a turning, just as it is in everything that I've been shown. It's new energy. It's an influx, like heightened influx, but it also, with that, often comes, what we see. It's like, no secret, right? That we have these, all the chaos and the war and the confusion and the mixed messages and the money systems and the other systems and the like tightening of the grip, which there's really, to me, I guess I'm a bit of an idealist in this way, but to me, this is the perfect opportunity for all of us to come together and to work together, to do what we can, to just take responsibility for our own lives, where we're able to do that and have that capacity, and more capacity is being given to all of us. And there is a promising new wave of energy, just as I talked about like last time, or maybe 2 videos ago, about the how the intersecting waves were becoming more in sync. And that also relates back to the Hathor and Horus at the apex of the pyramid. And the synced up energies within each one of us, and then within groups and communities and systems and societies and countries and nations and other ways that we identify as human beings with one another, and then ultimately our cosmic brothers and sisters as well. There is the expanded capacity and the opportunity to step forward into and to begin to release all of these patterns that are no longer aligned with who we are